Welcome to the Stylark Studio. Today we'll be sewing the Bronte Woven Dress. This tutorial focuses on the pleats, the neck facing and the invisible zip. So we've got all of our pattern pieces cut out, our neck facings fused and our instructions ready. Let's get started sewing. Before removing the pattern pieces, carefully mark the crosses on the front and back indicating the pleats to the wrong side of the fabric using tailor's chalk or an erasable pen. With right sides together, align the cross marks and pin the pleats into place. Sew the pleats between the markings, making sure to backstitch at each end of each pleat. Press the pleats towards the side seams. Neaten each centre back edge separately using an overlocker or serger. To help sew your invisible zip, lightly press the zip teeth flat. Please note, as this is just a demonstration, I'm using a shorter contrasting coloured zip. With right sides together, pin the invisible zip to the centre back seams. Carefully sew the invisible zip to the centre back of the dress using a zip foot or invisible zip foot. With right sides together, sew the centre back seam. Start at the hem and stop sewing where you've finished sewing the zip. Press the seam open and lightly press the zip. With right sides together, sew the front neck facing to the back neck facing at the shoulder seams. Press the shoulder seams of the facing open. Neaten the outer edge of the facing with an overlocker or serger. Neaten each centre front edge separately using an overlocker or serger. With right sides together and notches aligned, sew the centre front seam. Press the centre front seam open. With the right sides together, sew the back to the front at the shoulder seams. Neaten using an overlocker or serger. Press the shoulder seams towards the back. Stay stitch around the neckline to prevent it stretching. With right sides together and seams aligned, pin the neck facing to the neck opening, starting 7.5 centimeters from the center back. Please note the facing is shorter than the neckline, so the facing will end approximately 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch before the center back edge. It will become apparent as to why later on. Using a 6mm or 1/4 inch seam, sew the facing into place, starting 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches from the center back and finishing 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches from the center back on the opposite side. With the right side of the facing to the wrong side of the zip seam, sew the vertical top edge of the facing to the zip seam in line with the notch, which is 1 centimeter from the center back edge of the facing. To get the most professional finish, pin the facing so that it hangs over the center back edge by about 3mm or 1/8 of an inch. You can trim this off later. With right sides together, straighten out the back neckline and fold the zip seam towards the facing. This will close the gap between the neckline and the facing. Sew the remaining section of facing to the back neckline using a 6mm or 1/4 inch seam, sandwiching the end of the zip tape. Flip the corners and carefully clip the curved seam to create a nice smooth neckline and turn to the right side. Press and then understitch as far as you can on the side of the facing. Carefully hand sew the facing to the shoulder and centre front seams on the body to hold it in place. Continue to sew your dress as instructed. I hope you've enjoyed sewing your Bronte Woven dress today.